You may have heard the story about the logic professor teaching his class, and he posits a question. He says there were three frogs sitting on a log. One of them decided to jump. How many frogs are sitting on a log? Three. The one that decided to jump didn't actually jump. The story illustrates the fact that oftentimes we make decisions that we're going to do things and then we don't actually do them. There's something in the way. There's some kind of hurdle. There's some kind of roadblock. So we have decided that we are going to look at our persistent patterns of conflict in our most significant relationships, and we're going to act to address those persistent patterns. Yeah, except sometimes we don't. So what we're going to do is look at some of the things that typically will stand in our way and address them as three kind of orienting questions. As we're orienting ourselves to do this work, what are the things that we need to make sure we have in place? So these three questions are, first of all, do you have permission to create what you need? Is there anything that's bothering you so much that you would be willing to change what you're doing? And what's the one thing that you want to work on? So let's tease these apart a bit. Do you have permission to create what you need? Well, of course. Whose permission would I need? I don't need anybody's permission. It's up to me. Exactly, it's up to me. So then why am I not acting to create what I need? It turns out that we very often do not have permission. Some kind of experience in our life have said, oh, no, that's selfish. That's you being prideful. It's somehow a violation of the script that you were given as a kid. So there are times when which we discover that, in fact, we don't have permission to create what we need. And the second piece is we're not even sure what it is that we need. We're pretty clear about what we want. I mean, I know what I want. If I don't, I can sit down and, scroll through my phone and ads will pop up and tell me what it is that I want. We're surrounded, we're drowning in people telling us what we want. But what is it that I actually need? Turns out that's something both more important and more subtle. So I have to give myself permission to create what I need and know what it is that I'm going to do. Second question is, is it bothering you enough that you would be willing to change what you're doing? Well, sure. Why wouldn't I? Because why should I have to change? I'm not the one who's at fault here. Other people should be the ones to change. Or change, I don't know, what would I do? I don't know. How could I be different that would make a difference? So part of being able to change requires that I be clear about what it is that I'm going to do differently. And in the video to come after this, we're going to look at 7 things that have to be true for us to be able to actually make the changes that we want to make. So that's coming up. But at the moment, it's like there's something that's bothering me. Does it bother me enough that I want to address it? I run on a running path close to me in Forest Park here in St. Louis, and they've got this little pea gravel on it, and my running shoes just seem to grab that, and they'll kick up a piece of gravel, and I get it in my shoe. I mean, probably 10% of the time, I end up with a piece of gravel in my shoe. So the question is it that big? Is it bothering me? How far do I have to go? The thing I can do when I notice that I've got a rock in my shoe is I can sit down and I can take my shoe off and I can let the rock out. I already have the capacity. I have the strategy. I know what to do and I can do it to solve this problem. The question is that bothering me enough that I'm willing to do that? And then the third question is, what's the one thing that I want to work on? You probably heard the question, how do you eat an elephant? One bite at a time. Because you can't eat the whole elephant. And sometimes we get so caught up in all of the things that we need to address. I got this, and I got that, and I got the other thing. What am I going to do? And we don't pick anything to work on. It doesn't really matter in the long run which one we pick. But it is essential that we pick one, because if I don't pick one, I'm not going to work on it. So I'm going to work on this one, and then I'm going to work on that one, and I'm going to, it's like if you're cleaning the room. Oh, where do I start? With whatever's right in front of you. Just do one thing, and then just do the next thing and the next thing. So we discover that when we actually do have permission to create what we need, and I know what that is, and I'm clear that it's bothering me enough that I'm willing to change what I'm doing, because the only person I have the power to change is me. So if anybody's going to change here, it's going to have to be me. And I really focus down on the one thing that I want to address. I had one guy tell me a few years back, he said, the one thing that I want to address is that circumstance when other people aren't doing what I want them to do. It turns out that's always true. Right? No, narrow it down to that's one piece that is the thing that I'm going to work on now. This is the persistent pattern of conflict in the significant relationship that I'm going to focus my attention on. Okay, and that's then what I'm going to work on. And when I fix that, I'll do the next thing and the next thing. Okay? All right. Take care.